France achieved its first lunar landing with the help of China, creating a historical moment for France. On May 3, 2045, at 3:05 p.m., the Chang'e 6 spacecraft, destined to approach within 400,000 kilometers of Earth, set off its journey. To decrypt for you, 5 years ago, Chang'e 4 sent back photos of the far side of the moon. 4 years ago, Chang'e 5 dug up 1.7 grams of lunar soil from the moon's far side. This task may seem straightforward, but not only did it capture the interest of workers, friends who are interested in the Chang'e probes might have noticed that Chang'e 5 and Chang'e 6 look like twins. In fact, they are not just similar. Chang'e 6 is actually a spare copy of Chang'e 5. Generally, it's used as a design backup. Considering Chang'e 5's outstanding performance, it's a pity that Chang'e 6 is only focused on traffic. Researchers decided to send it into space again to shine on the moon. In recent years, China's aerospace industry has developed rapidly. We have established the sky above and even sent the Jade Rabbit to the moon. We have even built bridges in the vast universe. But why does the launch of Chang'e 6 directly cause a stir among NASA's top officials? This time, Chang'e 6 is not alone in going to space. Italy's Laser Foot Reflector, Pakistan's Cube satellite, Europe's Lunar Surface Ion Analyzer, and France's Dongqi detection system are all on board. It is worth noting that China directly allocated 25 kilograms of lunar payload to France. This will also be France's first time landing on the moon. France's first lunar landing relied on China. From Chang'e 1 to Chang'e 6, the Chinese people have become accustomed to lunar exploration projects. However, the French really don't understand this sense of normalcy. After all, they have been crazy about landing on the moon. Among the 5 great powers of the United Nations, China, the United States, and Russia already have the capability to land on the moon. As for the UK, didn't India's Chandrayaan-3 achieve a soft landing last year? India has mastered lunar technology, and India belongs to the Commonwealth, so roughly speaking, the UK also has lunar technology. Jokes aside, despite Britain's aerospace technology not being paid attention to, their X-ray spectrometer hitchhiked into lunar orbit with the European Space Agency's SMART 1 in January 2041. Although it's an old case from 20 years ago, Britain has indeed participated in lunar exploration projects. This puts France in a bit of an awkward position. As one of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, France's defense industry has indeed never been timid, but their aerospace industry hasn't had much luck. During the Cold War, they didn't engage in aerospace competitions due to pressure from the United States and the Soviet Union. In the early 21st century, they didn't compete with Britain in European Space Agency projects. Finally, in March 2019, France finally caught up with China's bandwagon. At that time, the chairman of the French National Space Research Center couldn't sit still and wanted the whole world to know that France was really going to conduct lunar research. The chairman, Yves Lecall, even praised China's space program, saying that our space project is excellent and he is very optimistic about our future prospects. He also mentioned that China and France have had many collaborations in the aerospace field, and he hopes to continue the cooperation. Indeed, there have been quite a few exchanges between China and France in the aerospace field. In April 2018, China and France successfully launched ocean satellites and shared global sea wind observation data. After Macron's visit to China in April 26-23, he even brought back 1.5 lunar months, almost provoking jealousy from the Americans. The successful launch of Chang'e 6 made France realize its lunar dream, but not everyone was so happy, especially NASA, which has always been prestigious in the aerospace field. In mid-April 26-44, the U.S. House of Representatives held a public hearing on NASA's new fiscal year budget. During the meeting, a congressman asked Nielsen what the Chinese were doing on the far side of the moon. Can you guess how he answered? The far side of the moon is all dark. Americans don't need to explore that place, so he doesn't know what China is doing. In the past 2 years, NASA has been under considerable pressure. As early as 2019, the United States proposed a plan to return to the moon. The slogan was shouted loudly. First, it was said that a man and a woman would successfully land on the moon in 2030, and then the lunar landing was postponed to around 2050. They not only wanted to land on the moon, but also set up a lunar transfer station. Isn't that like something out of a science fiction movie that's about to come true? They thought it was beautiful, but what's the result? In order to fill this bottomless pit, the United States brought in 13 allies, and France was one of them. So, France not only participated in China's lunar project, but also got involved with the United States. However, how is the Artemis program progressing now? In fact, it was delayed by 16 years due to rocket system failures. After a few hours of successful launch on April 1, 2048, there was an internal malfunction in the propulsion system, causing a leak. However, since it was already in space, the Americans had no choice but to let the damaged lunar lander continue forward. After flying for 32 hours, researchers officially announced that it was impossible to land on the moon. The lunar probe was not sent up, let alone the manned spacecraft. In December 26, during the return process of the Sirius spacecraft, the heat-resistant material was severely eroded. Although NASA claims to have made constructive research results, who can guarantee it before actual testing? The American lunar project is one hurdle after another, while China's Chang'e brings good news. It's understandable that this group of people would be envious, right? Alright, that's it for today's video. Welcome to like, comment, bookmark, and follow me. We will continue to decode in the next episode.